Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is honestly the ultimate underdog story of home gardening. We're talking about a garden center staple that just sits there on the shelves, entirely misunderstood by pretty much everyone. It has the power to absolutely supercharge your summer harvests, yet it's often completely ignored.
Okay, let's dive into this. What is literally the cheapest, most potent, yet most heavily avoided fertilizer you can buy? Well, it's Cultivation, otherwise known as chicken manure. If you want to slash your gardening costs while growing incredibly delicious organic vegetables, this is the secret weapon you absolutely need to master.
Section 1. The unknown strongest organic fertilizer.
The reality is, a lot of beginners just flat out avoid this stuff because they simply don't know how to use it. It's a remarkably common struggle, right? You hear about how great it is, you buy a bag, you don't really see the results you wanted, and then, bam, it ends up just becoming fertilizer for the shed, literally hardening into a brick in the corner. We are going to fix that today.
Section 2. It's a fertilizer, not compost.
And this brilliantly illustrates a major mindset shift we need to make to truly unlock this material's potential. When we think of cow, pig, or horse manure, we're generally talking about compost, soil conditioners that are meant to make your garden beds nice and fluffy. But chicken manure, it sits in a category all its own. It is a highly potent, nutrient-dense fertilizer.
Because of that fundamental difference, using chicken manure just to make your soil fluffy is a fatal mistake. If you dump it in by the bucketful, treating it like standard cow compost, you're going to provide way too much raw nutrition. It will completely overload the soil, and honestly, it'll kill your plants. This is exactly why beginners think chicken manure is bad. They're just using it wrong.
Section 3. The reason behind overwhelming nutrition and cheapness. Now you might be wondering, if it's such a powerhouse, why is it basically the cheapest fertilizer on the shelf? Let's talk economics for a second. This isn't because it's low quality, it's just basic supply and demand. Poultry is produced in massive, national-scale quantities for meat and eggs, and because of this enormous industry, the byproduct is incredibly abundant. It's cheap simply because there is an absolute mountain of it.
But what about that extreme nutrient density? Well, that actually comes down to some pretty fascinating bird biology. Think about how a chicken eats. They don't have teeth, right? They just happily peck and swallow their food whole. This unchewed food then speeds through a really short intestinal tract. Because the food is barely broken down and moves so quickly, the chicken actually fails to absorb a massive amount of the nutrition. So all those premium nutrients just get passed right out into the manure.
So the crucial point is this: unlike mammals, birds excrete urine and feces from the exact same place, simultaneously. Their urine contains incredibly high levels of uric acid and ammonia, which actually act as a premium, fast-acting nitrogen source for plants. The result is natural feces that is essentially pre-mixed with an extreme, highly concentrated nutrient density.
To really understand how good this is, let's look at a baseline. Take oil kick, which a lot of people consider the gold standard for standard organic fertilizer. It has a ratio of 5 parts nitrogen, 2 parts phosphorus, and 2 parts potassium. It's a great baseline for sure, but keep that balance in mind. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it compares to chicken manure. Cultivation boasts 3 parts nitrogen, a whopping 7 parts phosphorus, and 3 parts potassium. It forms this perfect mountain shape, peaking right in the middle. That massive spike in phosphorus is the absolute ideal ratio for fruiting summer vegetables. If you want a huge harvest of tomatoes, eggplants, or peppers, this mountain-shaped nutrient profile is exactly what your plants are craving. Oh, and there is an awesome hidden bonus here: calcium. Where does this come from? Well, egg-laying hens are fed highly specialized diets rich in calcium to ensure their eggshells don't break. Naturally, a ton of that excess calcium passes directly into the manure. This hidden bonus helps grow incredibly strong plant cell walls without you needing to run out and buy extra soil additives.
Section 4. The biggest weakness and its solution.
All right, we have to address the massive elephant in the room, the one thing that scares absolutely everyone away from using this amazing resource: the smell. It is undeniably terrible. When the highly concentrated uric acid in the bird's manure hits the outside air, it immediately begins breaking down into ammonia. This exact chemical reaction creates an unbearable, pungent stench that makes gardeners terrified their neighbors are going to complain.
When you're at the garden center, you'll typically see 2 standard types available. Dry chicken manure is a powder. It's very fast-acting, but if it gets wet, the smell is absolutely severe.
Fermented chicken manure is granular and slower release, and the smell is milder because it's already been processed. But let's be real, both of these still carry a significant odor risk if you just sprinkle them on top of your garden.
But wait, because there is an absolute holy grail for all you urban and balcony gardeners out there. Carbonized chicken manure, or tonka kifan. This is chicken manure that has been literally baked and turned into charcoal. It retains all of that incredible mountain-shaped nutrition and calcium, but the carbonization process entirely eliminates the odor. It is practically odorless. If you want the yield but are terrified of bothering your neighbors, this is your perfect solution.
Final section, the path to becoming a kifan master.
So we know why it's a cheap powerhouse and how to dodge the smell. Let's talk about how you can actually use this right now. First up, let's look at synergy. Because chicken manure already has that hidden calcium bonus we talked about, you don't need to apply as much standard lime to your soil. Instead, try pairing it with magnesia lime. This creates a brilliant synergy. You boost your soil with leaf-greening magnesium while the chicken manure handles the calcium load. It saves you money and builds an absolutely perfect soil profile.
Let's move to and see how this builds your planting schedule, because this part is strict. You simply cannot plant on the same day you apply this fertilizer. On day 1, you must mix the chicken manure deep into the soil. For the next 2 weeks, the manure is going to actively ferment underground, which generates a ton of heat. If you put a delicate baby plant in there right away, the heat will literally cook the roots. You absolutely must wait that 2-week period. By day 14, the heat dissipates and it is perfectly safe to plant your veggies.
And you remember that deep mixing we just talked about on day 1? That is literally the final key. By burying the fertilizer deep beneath the surface, you block the uric acid from ever hitting the air. No air means no ammonia reaction, which means no smell. Proper technique totally neutralizes the weakness and unleashes this fertilizer's incredible power, unlocking massive, cost-effective yields right in your own backyard.
So we've basically taken the cheapest, smelliest, most misunderstood bag in the whole garden center and unlocked the absolute powerhouse inside. It's the perfect nutrient spike for those summer veggies, it's naturally rich in calcium, and it's totally manageable with the right timing and mixing techniques. Now that you know the secret, are you ready to get your hands dirty and unlock your garden's true potential this spring? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy planting!